Throughout the ancient world, we see the symbol of the serpent. Many scholars have been puzzled by the worldwide use of this monolithic symbol. Images of the world serpent can be found from North America all the way around the world to China. Intertwining serpents were a symbol of life and death from Mesopotamia to the distant lands of Mexico. This symbol spread with the gods and from one end of the earth to the other as a result of religious significance to the religion of the Druids. Not only was the symbol of the serpent very important to the Druids, they actually referred to the members of their order as Nadards or Nadreds, meaning adder or serpent priests. In many ancient myths and legends of people of the world, there are tales told of men that had the blood of serpents. In myths from all over the world, you will see that people of half serpent, half human. All of the big name civilizations from the one end of the world to the other share this motive in common. Sometimes these beings will have their head of a serpent on the body of a man, or the head of a man with the serpent legs. In some legends, these people look like a slightly reptilian you and me. In other legends, we have been handed down that there are whole tribes of people that have serpent heritage. Perhaps there is more to this myth than fantasy. In many ancient cultures, the gods and heroes were often depicted as part snake. In the earliest legends of Greece, Cercops, the first king of Athens, was known for being part snake. The meaning of his name might have meant face with a tail. It is said that his top half was that of a man, and his bottom half was a snake. He was known for bringing civilization to the Greek people. In Egypt, the serpent goddess Wadjet was depicted as a woman with the head of a snake. Sobek, the crocodile-headed god of Egypt, should also be linked here as well. In China, Fu Xing and his wife Nuwa are depicted as humans with intertwining serpent torsos. In Mexico, Quetzalcoatl could take the form of a serpent and a man. This is a common motif around the world. In many legends, ancient historians spoke of entire nations of the Serpent People. In the Bible and other traditions of Judaism, the Serpent People take the form of the sons of Cain. In this tradition, the sons of Cain are primarily represented by the Amalekites, the most fearsome and hated of the enemies of Israel. According to the Bible, they are literal people that have within them the blood of the serpent. In the Hindu religion of India, there is a race of men known as the Nagas. The origin story of the Scythians, also known as the Saka, were described in detail by Herodotus, the Greek historian. The Greeks of Pontus give a different account of Scythia and the country beyond it. According to them, Hercules came into this part of the world, which was then uninhabited. When Hercules reached the country that is now Scythia, in this way Scythes, the son of Hercules, became father of the line of Scythian kings, and to this day the Scythians were built with little cups attached in memory of the belts their ancestors Hercules. What Herodotus had to say about the origins of the Scythian nation is very telling indeed. First and most important, he equates the Scythian, Saka, Saxons with being part serpent. Indeed, the matriarch of the Scythians was half snake. The serpent blood is connected by Herodotus to the royal bloodline of the Scythian kings. the Merovingian dynasty, and ancestors of much of today's royal families, was said to be descended from the Merovi and their legend founder and a sea beast. This is another tale describing the Scythian royalty as a hybrid species. Furthermore, these men are associated with a particular cup that they all wear on their belt buckles. We have learned that this cup is a symbolic of the blood of the king in the form of the Holy Grail. The blood in the cup stories show up in British Isles today Arthurian legends. Science has identified this royal bloodline as the blood type O rhesus negative, the universal donor. The symbolic drinking of royal blood ritual has been present in the world religions since far back as 8,000 years ago in the Tel Hafi period of ancient Mesopotamia. Le Grand Zombie is the major serpent spirit of worship among New Orleans voodooists. In New Orleans voodoo, snakes are not seen as a symbol of evil, as they are in the story of Adam and Eve. Snakes are considered to be holders of initiate knowledge, knowing that which cannot be spoken. Women often dance with serpents. Voodoo's rituals in New Orleans almost always include a snake dance to celebrate a link to the ancient knowledge. The origins of Le Grand Zombie can be traced to the serpent deity Zambe from Africa. Ra was the solar deity, bringer of light, and Apep was viewed as the greatest enemy of Ra, and thus given the name Enemy of Ra, and also Lord of Chaos. As the personification of all that was evil, Apep was seen as a giant snake or serpent, leading to such titles as the Serpent of the Nile and Evil Lizard. Some elaborators said that he stretched for 16 yards in length and had a head made of flint. Tales of Apep's battles against Ra were elaborated during the New Kingdom. Storytellers said that every day Apep must lie below the horizon. This approximately made him part of the underworld. In some stories, Apep waited for Ra in the western mountains called Baku, where the sun set, and in others, Apep lurked before dawn in the 10th region of the night. The wide range of Apep's possible location gained him the title World Encircler. It was throughout that his terrifying roar would cause the underworld to rumble. Myths sometimes say that Apep was trapped there because he had been the previous chief god overthrown by Ra, or because he was evil and had been imprisoned. The Egyptian priests had a detailed guide to fighting Apep, referred to as the Book of Overthrowing Apep, Book of Aposis in Greek. The chapters describe a gradual process of dismemberment or disposal that include spitting upon Apep, defiling Apep with the left foot, taking a lance to smite Apep, fettering Apep, taking a knife to smite Apep, putting a fire on Apep. In addition to stories about Ra's winnings, this guide has instructions for making wax models or small drawings of the serpent, which would be spat on, mutilated and burnt, while reinciting spells that would kill Apep. Fearing that even the image of Apep could give power to the demon, any rendering would always include another deity to subdue the monster. As Apep was thought to live in the underworld, he was sometimes thought of as the eater of souls. Thus the dead also needed protection, so they were sometimes buried with spells that could destroy Apep. The Leviathan of the Book of Job is a reflex of the older carnate Lothan, a primeval monster defeated by the god Hadgad. Parallels to this role of the Mesopotamian Tiamat defeated by Marduk have been drawn in comparative mythology, as have been wide-out comparisons to dragon and world serpent narratives such as Indra slaying Vritra or Thor slaying Jormungandr. In the Hebrew Bible, in Psalms 104, God is praised for having made all things, including Leviathan. In Isaac 27, he called the torturous serpent who will be killed at the end of time. In Greek myth, Typhon was terrible, outrageous and lawless, and his shoulders were 100 snakes' heads, and emitted fire and every kind of noise. Typhon challenged Zeus for rule of the cosmos. Hesiod's terminology gives the first account of their battle. According to Hesiod, without the quick action of Zeus, Typhon would have come to reign over all mortals and immortals. Defeated, Typhon is cast in Tartarus by the angry Zeus. In the early Vedic religion, Vritra is a serpent or dragon, the personification of drought and adversary of Indra. In Hinduism, Vritra is identified as an asura. He appears as a dragon blocking the course of the rivers and is historically slain by Indra. According to written accounts, Vritra kept the waters of the underworld captive until he was killed by Indra, who destroyed all the 99 fortresses of Vritra before liberating the imprisoned rivers. From this feat, Indra became known as Slayer of Vritra and also as Slayer of the firstborn of the dragons. Just as British children have been brought up with the stories about the Loch Ness Monster, Japanese people know all about the Kappa, a slippery water demon from ancient folklore. The pond and river dwelling monsters are typically depicted as humans, but with scaly green or blue skin of a reptile and webbed feet. But unlike the Loch Ness Monster, believers claim to have found proof of the creature's existence, and bones purporting to be from the Kappa are going to be shown in Japan. The folklore of Kappa. There are over 80 different names for Kappa, including River Child. Kappa are typically drawn to look like little humans and are said to be around the same size as a child. Their scaly skin varies in colour from yellow to blue. They are said to live in ponds and rivers in Japan and have webbed hands and feet, a beak and a bald patch on their head. In some tales of ancient folklore, the patch must be kept wet when the Kappa ventures out of the water, because if it dries they lose their power and even die. In other stories, Kappa are seen as malevolent troublemakers, or they are wicked creatures capable of attacking women and even drowning people. Kappa are similar to Scottish kelpies and Finnish naki, which are used to scare children about the dangers of water. Some people think that the Kappa legends are based upon the Japanese giant salamander, which is around the same size and has been known to grab prey using its formidable jaws. In Japanese folklore, the child-sized Kappa, or river child, occasionally jumps out of its watery lair to pull pranks as well as attacking women. But there are others that believe the Kappa is a specific creature, and there is signs near some lakes in Japan warning people of their presence. Scientists have not managed to confirm the existence of the creature, despite the fact that numerous bones have been discovered that are said to have belonged to the Kappa. One set of mummified remains, which seem to show webbed hand, is going to show on the first time in the island of Kyushu. The remains were given to the Shizmu family after a Kappa was shot on a riverbank in 1818. The foot measures around 3 inches and the arm is 5 inches, but no experts have claimed they are real, nor have they stated the bones are cobbled together to look monstrous. There are no plans to have them examined either. What if humans are the aliens we have been looking for all along? According to experts, humans are most likely crossbred with another species, perhaps from the star system Alpha Centauri, which is one of the most closest solar systems to Earth. Modern-day Iraq, where the ancient Sumerian city of Kish used to be, archaeologists found one of the oldest ancient documents on the planet. The Tablet of Kish, which is believed to date back to the year 3500 BC. The Sumerian Kings List states that Kish was the first city to have kings following the deluge. The ancient document is believed to precede the writings of the Sumerians and the Egyptian hieroglyphs for almost 100 years. Developing the ability to express thoughts through written language is one of the first ways in which man differed from the animal kingdom. 5,000 years since, humans have developed electricity, divided the atom, developed computers, and led man to the moon. We have achieved things that other species still have not. No other species on Earth can attribute such unique achievements in such a short period of time. Interestingly, compared to other species on the Earth, our evolution is relatively short. It has been a short period of time, most likely a few million years, since the first humanoid walked on Earth. Previously, this is one of the biggest scientific questions of all time. Why have only our species emerged to this truly advanced technological intelligence? Evidently, there is nothing more advanced than humans on this planet. While there are different intelligent species on Earth, none of them makes use of the technology like us. Just imagine for a second, if for some reason mankind had to return to the jungle and survive there. Many experts agree that most of them would not survive for a very long period of time. Many scientists agree that humans, in addition to their intelligence, are not very capable to occupy a wide range of environments. In other words, we are very limited where it comes to our planet. In addition to our fascinating intelligence, biologists have noticed contrasts between human physiology and that of other animals on Earth. Many scientists agree that compared to other species on Earth, humans are rather strange. For example, a baby horse was born. It's able to walk and function almost independently, but this a human baby cannot do, which makes us quite helpless. In other words, we are born before being ready for life. Many researchers agree that there are many vulnerabilities that accompany our intelligence. Humans on Earth eventually become bipeds, which freed up our superior intelligence. Experts believe that our species has paid an expensive price. Lumbar pain, a sign of, according to many experts, could tell us a lot about our species. Curiously, other animals on Earth do not have this problem. It's as if only humans are affected by some of these problems. So what does all this mean? According to one expert, it means that we are the aliens that we have been looking for all this time. A new theory proposed by Dr. Ellis Silver states that there are several telltale signs present in humans that suggest human beings did not evolve alongside other life forms on Earth. The book called Humans Are Not From Earth, A Scientific Evaluation of Evidence is basically a resume of theories for and mostly against man's evolution on Earth. In the book, leading environmentalist and ecologist Ellis Silver goes through an evolution of 13 leading hypotheses and 17 factors which suggest humans are not from Earth. Harmed by sunlight, a strong dislike for natural occurring foods, ridiculously high rates of disease, and more, said Dr. Ellis in an interview. According to Dr. Ellis, humans might suffer from back pain because our species initially evolved on another planet with a lower gravity. Adding to the mysteries, Dr. Ellis also includes that it is strange that newborns have large heads at making it difficult for a mother to give birth, which can result in fatalities for both mother and child. One reason for this is that the Earth might be a prison, since we seem to be naturally violent species and we're here until we have learned to behave ourselves. Dr. Ellis concludes that mankind did not evolve from the particular strain of life, but evolved elsewhere and then was transported to Earth as fully evolved Homo sapiens. There are legends all over the world, found in every culture, which populate caves with spirits and supernatural guardians who dwell in the subterranean realm hidden just beneath the surface of our own world. Western traditions, going as far back as the early Greeks and Romans, have always viewed the caves as eerie entrances into the underworld. Throughout the ages, caves have been used as a mysterious settings of supernatural, spiritual ceremonies, otherworldly portals, initiations and occult rites. Entering the darkness of the underground realm and emerging out again into the light is both a literal and symbolic journey, which has been duplicated in mythology and religious rites across all cultures. Also makes a spooky setting for legendary lost kingdoms, mystic treasures, and wells of mysterious powers. Nearly every culture has its own version of a mystic inner earth realm, its mysteries, its spirits of gods who must be acknowledged. Strange beings and creatures who dwell within, staring back at us from a great depth. There are countless caves and underground tunnels to be explored around Mount Shasta. Much of the mountain's mystique and its supernatural legends are drawn from the region's subterranean lore. The caves throughout the region have been used by the Native Americans for both physical and practical spiritual purposes, going back for many thousands of years. During the Gold Rush era, after the indigenous peoples surrounding Mount Shasta were massacred and forced out of their homeland, many of the area's caves were taken over by the secret societies and Masonic power structures. Members of these secret societies left their names and degrees painted on the walls of the local caves, identifying them as occult lodges, where they conducted their strange initiations and group rituals. Modern spiritualists believe that the inner earth realms beneath Mount Shasta are populated by interdimensional beings, aliens and Lemurians, who use the extensive cave network to move around without being detected. It is reported that there is mystical portals and secret doorways hidden in the caves around Mount Shasta. Legends abound throughout many cultures about the origin of the first people who inhabited the earth. Some describe a race appearing from inside the earth. For example, Indian folklore tells of white tribes that live in the earth. Eskimos have the same tribal teachings, and the Shaweens claimed a civilization of whites lived in Florida before they arrived and left their buildings, going back into the caves in the earth. Incas have a similar folklore of a subterranean white race that travels via caves from China, Iceland and the South American Aztecs. Their writings tell of an inner domain created by the gods for the first humans. An Eastern legend describes the origin of Adam came from inside the earth. A Hindu legend adds that Adam was the king of a group who fled a great cataclysm into the hollow earth and then returned to repopulate afterward. Tibetan monks referred to the underground areas Shambhala and Agartha as underground dwelling places for ascended masters and others. Orpheus went into the earth to seek out Eurydice of Greek mythology. Apollo's real home was among the Hibernians inside the earth of Roman mythology. The Valkyries descended and ascended into an inner domain in Nordic mythology. Even today, the Bonpo sect of Tibet claim to be in contact with the underground masters and the king of the world, Lord Maitreya, in tunnels and caverns in the Himalayan mountains. Names like Agartha, Shambhala and Shangri-La, Thule, Arcots, Valhalla and Hades all speak of the different cultural beliefs in an inner earth. The concept in myth and legend is truly as universal as the flood. The first person to write an entire work on the hollow earth was the famous English astronomer and mathematician Sir Edmund Halley. In 1692, he published his theory about the hollow earth. His theory was developed from working with Sir Isaac Newton on earth magnetism, fluctuations and the possible causes. His solution: the earth was hollow. He believed there were 3 concentric cones with a molten lava core, which served as an inner sun. Sir Edward Bulwer-Lytton was known worldwide for his book, The Last Days of Pompeii. He was a high-ranking Freemason, a Rosicrucian, and a member of the neo-pagan English social order known as the Golden Dawn. He wrote the book, supposedly fiction, called The Coming Race in 1871. This story tells of a highly developed subterranean beings that possess a mysterious power of vril force. The beings are described as extremely tall Caucasians with superhuman strength. This strength enables them to utilize a strap-on device of wings, which enables them to fly. Their lifespan ranges in centuries. The vril power is a mental one that is focused into a crystal staff that each person possesses. They view human surface dwellers as one would view a cattle or pets. The story claims that they will one day emerge from their underground caverns to reclaim the surface and dominate us. Although presented to the public as fiction, occult initiates believe this to be true, veiled in a fictional story. One of the secret societies that merged with the Fool Society to form the Nazi Party was the Vril Society. They based their entire society upon the occult fiction book. Their desire was to discover and develop the power of Vril and contact the inner beings to form an alliance. As way out there this might sound, actions were taken seriously to achieve this goal. In modern times, it would be the same as the Masons merging with the official Star Trek fan club to form a powerful political movement. H.P. Blavatsky, spirituals medium, stated that the North Pole is the region of Atma, a pure electromagnetic soul of the earth, and spirits are called the gate, whereas the South Pole is called the pit, North being positive and South being negative. She wrote about the Aryan master race and their subterranean origin from within the inner earth. The earth was like a living force with energy and light flowing inward. into the North Pole and excreting out of the South Pole. Mankind emerging from the womb to live on the surface is compared to the birthing. After the death and resurrection of Jesus, he descended to declare a further judgment upon the angels that sinned. The Bible suggests there will be a time when an individual and a group of fugitive people will attempt to enter into this subterranean realm. The prophet Amos in his book proclaims a very interesting prophecy. In context, these are people as fugitives fleeing God's judgment. There is even reason to understand this is a literal prophecy. In the Nazis' mindset, they believed themselves to be the diluted genetic strain of a subterranean super race which held the power of Vril. Their goals was to form an alliance with their underground brothers and obtain the knowledge of the Vril, to form new super weapons and lead the world into a new age. They did act seriously upon these crazy sounding beliefs by securing a portion of the Antarctic and perhaps attempting to dig into the earth to search for allies. Now let's take a look at the commandment God told Israel to abide by.
And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened up her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength, a fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth.
It is interesting to note that in many translations of the Bible, only the older English version, the King James and the American Standard use the translation "in the earth." All the more recent translations simply say "on the earth." A big liability of translation placed upon God's word. Cain's bloodline may be the seed of the serpent mentioned in Gen 3.
Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one.
Today, in the minds of too many people, the Bible has lost its validity because men were wrong. It is funny that the Bible declared the earth was round long before there was modern science or the church. The Bible has always remained true. It is man's own interpretation, or rather lack of proper interpretive procedures, that are flawed.
We shall never surrender.